guys? Welcome to episode 12 of Private Lesson. This week we're working with James back on the Supercross track. James is really looking to just kind of hone his skills on a tighter course with, you know, jumps out of turns and turning into jumps, steeper obstacles and that sort of thing. Video, we had to deal with a lot of ruts, so we were working straightaway ruts, working ruts in the turn as well, and then we moved on to the finish line double, which has been giving James some problems now for a couple months. It's been in his head a little bit. It's not very long, but it's a little bit peaked out, and I think the biggest thing for him is the corners right after the landing. So you see he's dealing with that double a little bit. As always, guys, first hour or two after I post the video, I'm gonna try to respond to everybody's questions. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, just type it down below, and within that first hour or two, I'll do my best to try and respond to everybody. Remember, guys, want to show your support? We have the limited edition February t-shirts available. ajcatanzaro.com. You can hit the link below in the bio and scoop one of these up. Super soft, little tri-blend action. Definitely not a one and done type shirt. You could wear this thing, wash it for years, and it'll be dialed. So before the video starts, just make sure you hit the subscribe button below, trying to get to 20,000 followers, and enjoy. Today is Monday after Tampa Supercross. I'm out here at Tomahawk Mx with James. We're gonna work some Supercross stuff today. It's a little slippery because it's been frozen. It's gonna thaw out today about 55 degrees. What he's gonna struggle with the most, and we're gonna focus on all day long, is ruts. Somebody's been riding this track a lot apparently because it is super rutted up compared to last time we were here. So he's doing his warm-up right now. Guarantee he's hating life because he was thrown to the wolves with just deep ruts around the whole track. So this is where James was going, and this is where I want him. It's a little bit of an abnormal line. It goes out and then bows back in, but you're riding in a rut that's 2 inches deep rather than a foot deep with mud and water. The catch to this is you have to ride very high up in the berm, which requires a little bit more forward momentum. James is having to hit that turn with the crazy ruts. Then he's dealing with this, which isn't too bad, but it's something. Then he goes over this next roller, and then he's got to deal with this. So the obvious line choice for me, and maybe for you guys watching, is right down the middle. The rut's perfect. It's starting to tack up a little bit. Yeah, it's greasy, but definitely the best option. The scary part with this is if you get cross-rutted, you're in mud there, you're in mud there. It's kind of like going across a skinny little bridge on a mountain bike. You got to just pick the beginning of it, look past it, let the bike do the work. Don't try to balance and fight through it. What James is trying to do is he's riding over here. So he comes up over this roller, sees this mess that's behind me, and then goes, panics, and just takes a hard right and goes right around it. And he's making life way more difficult. So we're just gonna try to get his confidence up in these ruts a little bit so that he can flow around this track. Your biggest struggle was the turn, and then you would get to here. I was just telling the camera. So now if you look at this section, what do you think is the ideal line? The fastest, cleanest line?
That one right there.
Right down the center, right? Yep. That was the one I was taking. That's the obvious best option. I compared it to kind of like going across a skinny little bridge when you're clipped in on a mountain bike, right? It's easy to ride across. If that were on the road and somebody said, oh, just ride in between these two painted lines, you could do it. As soon as there's all that crap beside it, you mentally get a little screwed up. A couple times I even saw you come up over the roller, lined up pretty decent for it, and then last second you're like, and you went hard right, and then you went where those icicles are in the frozen mess
I
to
went
the
right
right.
that.
So now you're like grinding the edge of the wall, and you're making life more difficult. A rut like that, and any straightaway rut for that matter, yeah, they're intimidating, but they're much easier than a corner rut. You can look at it, look past it, and let the bike do the work. Okay. 9 out of 10 times your bike's gonna go both tires in that rut, and you're golden. And honestly, worst case scenario, you get a tire here, you get your rear tire in the other one, and as long as you're looking past it and staying smooth on the throttle, the bike is gonna figure it out. You can get cross-rutted in that, no problem, and be totally fine.
Should I stay in second or third?
You could stay in second. The speed you're going now, it's a little bit torquey.
It is torquey.
But it wasn't, watching you, wasn't anything
like the front end's not lift, it's not like it's...
No, for me, I'm going just a tad faster.
So third gear is for you,
I was at the point where a second was like,
too much,
too great.
Okay.
So I was using third just so that when I got on the gas out of turns, it wasn't spinning, and
Right.
then straightaways, it was just a little bit smoother for me to use. So we're gonna do that outside line. If you do it right and you carry momentum around that outside line, it bows you right back to the center of the track anyway.
And get the leg out, right? Or no leg?
That turn, I think leaving both feet on is kind of the way to go. Yeah. And this weekend, even and in Supercross, I do it a lot. When it starts to get super rutted, I leave both.
You know,
feet
those
out.
guys, I mean, they don't have their leg hugging. They just throw it out there like half, you know, like this.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that too. I think you might have saw me doing it in that corner by the dozer over there.
Okay.
When my foot came out, I was being lazy with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, I watched Tomahawk. I study body position now for the most part. I brake it. I listen to the rear brakes. So when you come down the straightaway, I hear it. I mean, it's hard to see because the camera's on the left side, but I can hear it chattering.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess I use.
Have that dialed in, but what a lot of them mess up. Roxon is amazing at it. Sansarillo is amazing at it, but Tomahawk is one who leaves his feet in the pegs a lot, because when you put your foot out in a turn, honestly, most of us don't really take the time to get it up as high as you should.
Right.
Next thing you know, it's just dragging the ground anyway, right?
Right.
So you see like legs flying everywhere. When you have a rutted situation, and for me in Supercross, and we've been working Supercross now for a few months, it seems. Every time we've come here.
Yeah. We only did that one time.
You're always setting up for something.
Yeah.
Right? And when you're sitting down and putting your foot out in the turn, it's one or two or three more things to do before you get to the obstacle. So for me, I just try to stay in my attack position, leave my feet on the peg so that it's one less thing to do.
Well, like in Orange County, I would need, or a bigger track, I would need the leg out.
You don't need the leg out.
Don't need it. Okay.
The only time I say you actually need the leg out is when you have a rut that's so crazy deep that it would just rip your foot off the foot peg anyway. So you get it high and tight to get the foot out.
To get the foot.
You're rarely dealing with conditions like that. Even those ruts in that turn, they're deep. They're about a foot deep. That's not deep enough to really catch. And your lean angle isn't quite enough to where you're ripping that foot peg anyways.
Stand or sit?
Sit just for more traction. If you're standing, the bike's gonna be a little lighter. And you have a higher center of gravity, so it's easier to wash out.
So sit.
Yeah. What I would do is I see the sand and then you drop down into the turn. I drop down, I absorb the dropping down, standing up, and then I sit probably a quarter of the way through the turn. And then.
So right where it bends, start to sit?
Yep. Right about a quarter of the way through, sit, keep both elbows up. Try to go 1 or 2 miles an hour faster than what you were, and just keep picking that spot, looking past it. Pick the spot.
Now where that rut is, go above it?
Yeah, so you're...
high to the grass as possible?
Yep.
Okay.
So as James becomes less and less comfortable, his hips and his knees drive forward and his elbows drop, which puts him in a pretty dangerous position. He's uncomfortable. He needs to try to remind himself, drive those knees back, drive his butt back. It's gonna just make life easier. What you're seeing from James in this too is, if you watch this video back, his bars are doing this a lot, like very, very twitchy. If you see somebody's bars doing that in a rut, whether it's in a straightaway or a corner, that tells you that he's looking down right in front of his front fender and trying to balance the bike. So he's trying to fight every inch of that to do these micro adjustments to get through the rut. The proper way to do it, and I know it's easier said than done, is look to the end, let the bike do the work. You won't be fighting every inch of it. Better, 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 better. Eyes up! Eyes up! So first couple, not the greatest, and it was, I could watch your bars do this the whole way through the turn and the whole way through that straightaway run. What that tells me is your head's pointed down, you're looking right in front of that front fender, and you're trying to micro adjust every second to make that bike do something that it doesn't really want to do. And that just lack of confidence, and you're making life really, really difficult. Pick the end of the rut, let the bike do the work. One thing that I was noticing as far as body position goes, as soon as you get uncomfortable, you go from knowing where you should be here to doing this. So I'm just watching all of that weight come to the front of the bike, which is making it really, really twitchy and just putting a big load on the front end. Gotta keep your knees back and keep your butt back so you can keep that weight even. At this point, you know what to do.
Yeah.
It's just when you're uncomfortable, your natural panic position is here. And I'm seeing that happen. You're sitting in the right spot around the turn, but as soon as you come up off the seat, over this tabletop, boom, you're in this spot here, making it really difficult to get a line for here because any movement you make was a pretty twitchy head shake type movement.
So I should say lighter.
All your weight was to the front. Yeah, drive your knees and butt back here so that that weight's even. It's gonna feel, you'll have a lot more trust in the front end. You know what my buddy Cade Clayson this week did, and he's a fast pro. He put tape or something on the bottom part of his lens.
Cool.
Because apparently he's been having an issue. He said he doesn't feel like he's looking ahead enough. So it didn't allow him to look down. It was forcing him to look up with his eyes.
I like it.
Might be worth maybe trying. Mind too that the faster you go, by the time you do make a mistake, you're already through the thing. It's just like peace of mind going through a short set of whoops in Supercross. When you have a short set of 5 or 6, even if they're ginormous and scary or cupped out or whatever, you can have peace of mind in knowing, okay, if I commit to these things, by the time I make a mistake or I'm about to crash, I'm gonna be through them anyway. This weekend in Tampa, there were like 8 or 9, but the first 5 were the crazy difficult ones. So in my head on track walk, I'm like, all right, well, these first 5 are big, but if I just come through and really try to commit in, by the time I mess up on the big ones, I'm gonna be in the last 4 or 5 that are smaller anyway, so I could probably correct that mistake. Nice, nice. 100 times better. Way better. Body position when he stood up wasn't ideal. His knees were a little too far forward, but just forward momentum alone and keeping his head up just goes right through it. By the time you mess up, by the time you get squirrely, that rut section is only, you know, 8-10 feet long. He's already through it. Where he's noticing his body position and knees being too far forward is right here. So he comes up over this, he's good, and then he goes into this dip and he's got it, knees too far forward, which shifts all his weight to the front wheel, so he knifes pretty aggressive over this. And this is where he's messing up the most. You're probably going to hit it first time, which is steady throttle all the way up, neutral body position and not really much body English. What that's going to do is it's just going to lawn dart you forward and you're going to bounce the landing. You have to use a little bit of body English, a little bit of a preload. So compress, unload so you can get a little bit of pop, and you have to do that combined with gradual increase in the RPM. So when you come out the jump face, it's just going to be not whacking the throttle, but just a little bit so you can assist that bike compress and unload. The goal is to get extra pop so you can get nice height to get over the jump. You don't want to just hit it 30 miles an hour straight through because you're going to bounce the landing and you'll never be able to make the turn. So I'll demonstrate the wrong way to do it, and I'll demonstrate the proper way to pop up.
What are you going to do, second gear?
I'll do it in second or third. And I just, and with that, I compressed down with the bike and unloaded with it. And it gave me just the perfect amount of height, right, where I could downside the landing. This jump's safe. I know it's a double, but you could bounce it all day long as you're level. Do not land like this. And I don't think you're gonna land like this, but don't loft the front end, because that's gonna give you a kick over the front. So he attempted to use a little bit of body English on the takeoff, which was good, but he cased it. And what he did is he cased it level with the up ramp of the landing. So it kicked him like that. So what's actually gonna happen is your front tire, if you case it properly, is gonna make contact first, and it's gonna push you through the landing. If you case it like this, it's always gonna bounce you like this. If you had cased it level to the ground, you would have pushed through and made that turn no problem. The reason you didn't make the turn is because you got one of these, right? You were more level that time when you cased it, but you were still front end maybe 3 or 4 inches above the rear. So what it did is it just gave you that little bit of a buck. And that was the worst casing point you could land on, because you jumped it pretty much just right to the top of the crest.
I went a little farther?
You gotta go a little bit further than that.
Go a little farther.
And if you do case in that same spot again, get that front end down and it'll push through. I know in your head you're like, oh, well, why would I want to case it with my front tire hitting it first? I promise the suspension way it works is it'll push you through the landing and not kick you in the butt like it just did. Know that you could overshoot that jump and it's gonna be easier to make the turn than if you case it and bounce. And you got a long landing to play with. So just carry a little extra speed. You got it. See, case, bounce, skid into the turn, lofted the front end so it gave him a kick in the rear. Get that thing level and commit. So I'm gonna case and bounce it, trying to show you what that looks like. I'm gonna bounce it incorrectly and try to get it to kick me. And then I'm gonna show you what an overshoot looks like. It should be easier for me to make that turn when I overshoot. Drain plug fell out and we found it. What are the chances?
I tightened everything on the bike. Went over and
well, folks, you found it right on the landing of the jump, right where you cased it. So that's why you don't case jumps, because if you have a loose drain plug, it'll fall out. As far as this goes, it's just you have to commit. That first one, when you just started up and came right out, that was the furthest you had jumped.
Yeah, felt it.
And then then you loop around, and the next pass you did, can you not feel when you come up that you were going way slower?
It's so uncomfortable. I'm scared shitless. I can't get over the fear of not making that turn.
So that's all you're focused on.
Turn. You know I hit jumps bigger than this.
I'm trying to think of a way to give you advice, because I'm not going to give you technical advice because you know exactly what to do. I'm just trying to think of ways.
I'm even lifting up on the bike. That's how I had the front end up higher, and it's just so.
If you jump literally from that first one after you just came out, that first attempt, if you went half a mile an hour faster and went 6 inches further, your bounce would have been less. Your bounce on that one was less than the bounces in the one before, because you started to land more on the crest rather than completely in that bounce.
But I'm not landing on the downside.
No, but it should give you a peace of mind that if you just go 6 inches further, you'll get the downside, you'll be able to stop. You can make the inside of the turn. Never mind just trying to make the berm.
I'm just afraid of going up road.
It's not even like you're close to. You're not doing what Mark was doing before, where when he would mess up, he would literally launch the berm. All you're doing is kind of skidding and then taking the turn.
Yeah.
You're not even close to going over the berm. That shouldn't be in your head.
Well, my head is getting the both tires on the ground and reaching for the brake. I can't. I would try to ride like this, and I'm like, I ain't gonna work either.
Can I steal it for 2 seconds? I'm not gonna put your helmet on.
You sure?
I just stepped right in the oil. Your speed is right now, but you're doing this and extending your elbows. Oh, you're still not bouncing nearly as bad as you were, but now to get it perfect, when you take off, just keep your chest and your chin over the crossbar pad.
Am I going farther?
You're landing right where you should be.
You're getting a little bounce because you're landing like this. That's all. Yeah, that much better. I could feel your moment of panic in the air because you're like, oh crap, my chest is too far forward and I'm gonna case it. But what happened when you landed?
It was smoother.
Right? Yeah. It's just in your head. People think, oh, I'm gonna case it, I need to do this. It only makes you bounce. You case it with your front tire first, your bike's stuck to the ground like glue. You bounce, but you only bounce off the ground like a quarter of an inch, rather than bouncing 5 or 6 feet down.
Was I better this time?
Yeah, that was perfect. Level it out a little more. Better. Every time this should get easier. You can tell he's building confidence. He's not stopping every round like he was before. He's got that mental momentum. Nice, nice. There we go, there we go, there we go. Come on. All right, good speed, but every time he goes faster, he resorts back to the extending elbows and ends up in a boner air.
That's what went faster.
You went faster, but you panicked because of it, and your arms extended, so you lofted the front. All you have to do is combine the speed with the correct body position. That's it. So force your brain to just keep your chest forward the whole way with that amount of speed, and you'll be golden. Isn't that right, Tyler Stebbett?